Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, November 30th, last day of the month. And here we go, another huge NHL slate on this Thursday. 14 games on tap. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break it down. We're going to skip the recap today. It was just a light slate yesterday. We saw the Rangers come back, beat Detroit in that game last night. Montreal with a 4-2 win against Columbus. And then in the late game, poor LA Kings, you're going to look at that and say, uh-oh, LA, flat spot. Fell prey to Washington, weren't ready to go. No, couldn't be further from the truth. They played well. They had chances. They dominated the game. They got Lindgren last night in that game against the Washington Capitals. Pretty cool, though, that a rare team total under ends up cashing on the team that actually won the game. So that's a pretty awesome feeling, actually. You had under 2.5 with the team that actually won the game in that 2-1 Washington victory last night. So just a short slate. 14 games on tap tonight. We'll get right into it, and we'll begin with, well, we were talking about it yesterday, the rivalry that apparently everybody's forgotten about, and a rivalry that's just not what it once was, clearly, based on some recent actions that have taken place. But nevertheless, for those of you that are old geezers like Alex and me, we remember the days of Chicago and Detroit meaning something, being a huge rivalry, hatred on both sides. Can take some solace in that. For us, it's still fun to see Chicago and Detroit do battle. They will be doing so here tonight. Detroit minus 200 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. The Red Wings coming off a very disheartening loss to the Rangers last night. Very, very tough loss. They had a 2-1 lead. Rangers tie it early in the third, and then a late goal from Jimmy Vesey proves to be the difference last night for a 3-2 Ranger comeback victory. And now the spot's a little tricky for Detroit, too, back-to-back after being in New York last night. That's not an easy situation. Chicago, meanwhile, very impressed with the way they looked against Seattle, right on the heels of Corey Perry being basically kicked off the team, terminated his contract, placed on waivers. It's almost like there was a little bit of a collect our breath, take a deep breath, exhale. And I think it led to a little bit of a better all-around team effort from the Chicago Blackhawks the other night in their victory against Seattle. You look at this head-to-head matchup here, Chicago and Detroit. It's actually been a matchup where Chicago's done all right against the Blackhawks, winning 6 of the last 10 head-to-head meetings, 2 of the last 3, including a lot of success in Detroit. If you actually look, Chicago's 4-1 in their last 5 visits to the Motor City to take on this Red Wings team. I actually like Chicago here a little bit. Live price, plus there's actually 3 bets here for me. A split with the dog and draw here in this one with Chicago and Detroit, plus 170. You can find the draw at FanDuel at plus 380. Really nice price there. I expect a very close competitive game. I think Chicago's got a puncher's chance. Let's not forget Chicago went to Tampa and beat the Lightning on the road recently. So no question about that price just seems a little bit high on Detroit here, given the success that the Blackhawks have had against them. Now, we do have some injuries on both sides. Taylor Hall, we know, is out for the year, but Athanasiou and Gutman's also a day-to-day situation for Chicago. But Detroit has got some key injuries. We know Dylan Larkin's day-to-day may not suit up after missing the game last night. And Gostisbehere, who is actually one of the key defensemen here for Detroit. He's had a really good season for them, especially in point production. He is maybe questionable tonight to miss this game. So those would be a couple of big losses on the Red Wings side of the fence. So Chicago plus 170, split with a smaller shot on the draw for me at plus 380. I'm also going to look, and I found over 6 minus 116 at Pinnacle instead of 6.5. I'm going to look at that. We have seen goals with Blackhawks versus Red Wings, 4 straight overs between these two teams heading into this matchup tonight. Alex, what do you think here, Chicago, Detroit?
Yeah, I like goals early. I'm on that first period over 1.5, minus 130, and also sprinkle a little bit on both teams to score at plus 165. But I'm also riding with the Hawks, too, at plus 170. Peter Mrazek has played well against Detroit in his career. 7-2-1.
Again, former team angle. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. 7-2-1. Now the numbers after that aren't so great. 3.07 goals against average, 883 save percentage. So, like you said, it's been high scoring affairs. He's given up some goals, so that's why I like that first period over both teams to score in the first period as well. Maybe even look to try and grab a better adjusted price on the full game over as well. But I think, like I said, it could be a back and forth kind of a battle. And the Hawks have done well against the Red Wings, especially in Detroit. No reason to see, like I said, with the injuries going on with the Red Wings. And let's not, also the fact of that Patrick Kane is being signed. He's not ready yet. There's players that know that they're going to be moved. There's some guys that, wondering, are they going to be scratched? Are they going to get sent down? So there's a bit of uncertainty in that lineup on top of the fact that there's injuries there as well. So may not see a full, complete game from Detroit. And I wouldn't feel comfortable laying a big price with Detroit right now anyway. So taking a shot with the Hawks, and I'm also going first period over, first period both teams to score.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't score the other night, but yeah, Connor Bedard, you'd think now that these ridiculous rumors, he doesn't have to think about them or worry about them anymore. Now that it's been revealed, it's not that. You would think settles down a little bit, and could be worth a look as far as props go tonight. For me, I'm going to give you the same two guys I mentioned for Detroit, and one of them scored last night. Robbie Fabry. Right now, this guy is one. I tell you, when he's healthy, he's good. He's a really good offensive player. He's got lots of skill, talent, finishing ability. All this guy has to do is stay healthy, and he just hasn't done a good enough job of doing that. He's just had snake bit with injuries. Robbie Fabry's a very good finisher when he's able to stay on the ice, and he's showing that right now for the Detroit Red Wings. So he's a good value player prop look. Berggren as well for Detroit with Kopp in the middle. Comfer moving up to the top line has some value, and didn't score last night. Snap the mini little goal streak snap, but I wouldn't sleep on Perron either, who we talked about yesterday on the show. Definitely, I think some good player prop options in that game. All right, San Jose, Boston. We've got the Bruins minus 550 home favorite, 6 the total. This is a stay-off game for me. I mean, I definitely think it's a Boston situation in theory to bounce back after, a rare, and I mean rare, 3-game losing streak for this team. I mean, the Detroit game, the Ranger game, the Columbus game, 5-2 earlier this week against the Blue Jackets. There's no question about that. Boston, it's the ultimate. This has got to be the night they snap out of their funk here against San Jose tonight, but I'm not at this price the least bit interested in Boston in any form. Even the puck line, I'm not all that giddy about. Minus a half at minus 110 for a first period puck line. No, thank you. I'm just not, especially with Boston. These are issues that Boston has right now, and they've got to fix them. Their defensive game hasn't been as tight. They've been in the penalty box a lot. Penalty kill even hasn't been nearly as sharp. It's just too big of a price, too big, even if this is a bounce back spot for Boston. I'll tell you what, if I were to bet something in this game, I would try to look maybe at a Sharks team total under, much like I did with Washington. The problem is under 2 for San Jose's team total is minus 160 at BetMGM. I mean, so you pretty much have to lay either minus 250 with under 2.5, under minus 160 with under 2, or you're going to have to take a shot at a plus price with San Jose under 1.5 for their team total. And that's not giving you a lot of wiggle room, for as good as Boston defensively can be. If they get back to their game, they can hold San Jose to 1 goal or less, but I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with that. Maybe a full game under 6, minus 120 tonight, because the one thing I don't see the Sharks doing is lighting up the scoreboard here tonight in Boston. A team that's probably going to really try to hone in on the defensive side of things. San Jose has scored 2 goals or less in 3 of their last 4 games. If you look at series history as well, we've had 4 straight head-to-head matchups where the game total or the final score has not exceeded 6 goals. We had a 3-1, a 4-2, a 4-0, and a 3-1, all Boston victories. So, you could probably look at an under here in this game if you're going to get involved, but nothing much for me. What do you think here, Alex? Sharks, Bruins?
Yeah, this is a complete pass. I mean, there's a reason this number is this high for a reason, because you look at the series history, Boston has absolutely been, lights out against San Jose. And this is a Sharks team that we know they can lay an egg at any given point. And like I said, if Boston comes out hot and ready, this game could get ugly in a hurry. So there's nothing of value here for me, so it's a pass.
Yeah, the only thing I would look at is my guy Zacha, Pavel Zacha. How many times, or Coyle, both of those guys. The 2 centers for Boston have played pretty well for them lately, especially at the offensive end of the ice. So they definitely could be worth a look here in this game. to produce on offense here. I think this has to be a Pasternak game. He's been actually oddly quiet here for Boston in recent games. So you might be able to see him maybe get back going again tonight. It feels like against a team like San Jose, one of the weaklings in the NHL, it certainly sets up as a spot for Pasternak maybe to get his offensive game going tonight. All right, Seattle and Toronto. We've got the Leafs minus 185, home favorites, 6.5 the total, shaded to the under here in this game. I like the Leafs team total for sure in this game. And obviously I prefer that than minus 185 on them. Look, Seattle, Philip Grubauer's back to, I'm concerned about him again. Like he just, to give up, 4 goals, whatever it was the other night against Chicago on just 20 shots. He is back in net tonight. Don't love the way his overall game is, progressing at the moment. And Seattle hasn't been as good on the road this year either. Let's point that out. 4-8 on the road this year for the Seattle Kraken. Toronto, a hard-fought shootout win against Florida, 2-1 the other night. Draw might be worth a look here, quite honestly. 3 of the last 4 meetings with the Kraken and the Leafs, or 3 of the last 4 games, I should say, involving the Leafs have gone past regulation. The mini game in Sweden went to overtime. The Chicago game on the last Friday, Black Friday, was an overtime game. 1-goal game with Pittsburgh, 3-2. Shootout game with Florida. So the draw could be live here in this game potentially. But I do like the Leafs here a little bit over 3.5 in this one. Probably the 6.5 too. I would lean over, but I defer more toward the Leafs doing the bulk of the scoring tonight. Seattle just, very disappointing, but they're just not getting their game going right now. Not good enough, consistently enough defensively either. Aside from shutting down a weak San Jose team, look what they've done on the defensive end lately, Seattle. 3 goals allowed to Vancouver, 4 to Calgary, 5 in the rematch to Vancouver, 4 to Chicago the other night. That's why I think Toronto has it in them to get to 4 goals in this game tonight. What do you think here, Alex? Seattle, Toronto.
Yeah, this is one I'm going to be looking for a live first period over. I think, like I said, with Seattle kind of struggling a little bit, we'll have time to maybe grab this even at plus money with a 1.5. So that's the only thing I'm looking at with this spot. You could, like I said, take a shot with a draw because the Leafs have been kind of trending in that direction, but I'm kind of staying away from that. I'm just looking at the first period over this one.
Yeah, I mean that's it's absolutely amazing how quiet the Stars have been. Even Nylander's in a little bit of a funk for his. He still had a great season, but obviously his point streak has been snapped. Matthews and Marner have been quiet. Marner's also gotten banged up. He had the face shield on the other night, so they need more from all. Well, I'm not going to put Nylander in that category, but they need more from Matthews and Marner in particular. There's no question. You can't always have it, come down to Noah Gregor and Calle Yarncroke and Matthew Nyes every night. Some of your, depth scorers. I mean, you got to get Matthews and Marner going, especially Marner. Marner's just had a absolutely underwhelming season by his standards. There's no question about that. All right, next up here, we've got New Jersey and Philadelphia. Devils minus 140. Road favorites here in the city of brotherly love. Total 6.5 in this one. You look at the Devils, 2-0 with Hughes and Hischier back, and we knew that the two of them together, look at the difference it makes. They're a much better team. They win more games. You take even just one of them off the ice, and it makes a world of difference. So I played a little New Jersey here, minus 135 is the price I got in this one. It's just a team I want to back now with both of these guys back in the lineup. Philadelphia's kind of gone back downhill again. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. The only win during that span was the 1-0 shootout victory against the New York Islanders. So hasn't been great for the Flyers here of late. And usually when they punch up in weight class, that's when you're going to see them struggle. It's not surprising that each of their last 2 losses, Rangers, Carolina, teams we project to be better than the Philadelphia Flyers. So I'll look here at a Devils minus 135 in this game. We don't have goalie confirmations yet for New Jersey, but certainly hoping to see Schmidt. I think they got to give Vanacek a rest. He wasn't great against the Islanders. He got pulled the other night. So we'll see if he's able to return to the lineup. We don't have confirmation either about Dougie Hamilton's status. This is a guy that left the game the other night against the Islanders, upper body injury. He's questionable, likely a game-time decision here for the New Jersey Devils tonight. So small bet, though. on this one, just because I think because of that New Jersey injury concerns that they've got. But still think they can do enough to get the win here on the road against, again, a Flyers team that's starting to revert into the team we thought they might be earlier in the season. What do you think here, Alex? Jersey, Philly?
Yeah, I'm taking small shots here with the first period over 1.5 minus $1.40. That's right at my cutoff point. Honestly, you could probably wait and grab a better price in game. So, like I said, it's a small shot there, so I might be adding some more in game. But I also taking a shot with Devils in regulation at even money. I grabbed that at Caesars. Like you said, yeah, Flyers are starting to kind of revert back to the form we all expected. New Jersey's starting to get a little bit stronger. Now they're getting a bit healthier, so I think this is a pretty cheap price. I'll take a shot with the Devils in regulation and first period over. Play it a little bit smaller now and then add a little bit more in game.
All right. And prop-wise, look, we had our bird's eye view, boots on the ground, eyes in the venue, if you will, from our guy John Massey the other night, and he sung the praises of that newly constructed third line for the New Jersey Devils in that Islander victory, Holtz, McLeod, and Lazar, saying they were generating offensive zone time all night. So if you want bargain bin value on Devils props, don't just look toward Hughes and Ishier. And I think Mercer's actually in a great spot tonight. Mercer has really done a lot of damage against the Flyers. He's playing with Hughes. He's been very good since he was put with Jack Hughes on the top line. So Dawson Mercer, an old friend of mine, an old player prop friend of mine, might be worth a look tonight in this game for sure. But don't sleep on those three on the third line, Holtz, McLeod, and Lazar. We heard our guy John Massey saying that they were excellent. They were always buzzing. They were always threatening, to get things done offensively in the Islanders zone the other night. So they have good chemistry, clearly. So keep that in mind. They might be worth a look. Holtz to get a goal is plus 430. Mikey McLeod scored a goal that night. He's plus 530, actually, to find the back of the net. And then the third member of that line, Curtis Lazar, who actually has chipped in some offense, really, with this Devils lineup. He's in that plus 570 range as well. So, all you have to do is hit one of those three players to score tonight, and you're going to be profitable. Because if you put the same amount on all three of those third-line players, and if just one of them scores a goal, it's profit for you tonight. So that's the way I think you got to approach it there with that Holtz, Lazar, and Mikey McLeod line that New Jersey has apparently going quite well. All right, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay. Next up here, we've got the Lightning back home after a short road trip. Pittsburgh continuing their road trip. The Lightning minus 135 home favorites in this game, 6.5 being the total. What happened to the Lightning offensively is my big question in the last two games, both of those road games against Colorado and Arizona. Now, I can understand Colorado shutting them down for sure, but Arizona, I guess you got to give Connor Ingram credit. We have talked a lot, Alex and I, but Connor Ingram's played well. He's been better than Vejmelka this year in goal for the Coyotes, and he put up the old brick wall in front of the Arizona Coyotes, in front of Tampa Bay the other night. So he played very well for Arizona. Again, Connor Ingram, although it does help a goalie when Steven Stamkos misses a wide open net on a one-timer. I saw that highlight a few times after that game. Holy shit. I'm sure he's still wondering how he ended up missing that open net. But they are back home now, Amalie Arena. Pittsburgh can be very giving sometimes as far as the quality of chances they allow to the opposition. So there could be a chance here for Tampa Bay now back on home ice to get their offense back on track. Let's not forget that Tampa Bay, in 2 of their 3 home games before they went on that trip, they scored 6 against Edmonton, 5 in a win against Boston. So keep that in mind. And just in general, it's amazing how on the road we've seen, at least on a couple of occasions, them held down offensively, maybe held down as far as chances and shots. But on home ice, this team, their last 3 home games, 34, 47, and 33 shots on goal for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I think it's an opportunity for them to get their offense going. It's what they're talking about. It's what they're focusing on coming into this game tonight, is that, hey, we know we've got the ability to put the puck in the net. Hasn't gone in for us the last couple of games. Doesn't mean that's going to continue indefinitely, especially when you look and you see, Alex, that everyone's healthy for the Tampa Bay Lightning, everyone. So I think it's a night for Point Paul, Stamkos, Kucherov, a lot of the big guns to step things up against a Pittsburgh team that, again, is capable of giving up goals to the opposition. And especially when you look at what Pittsburgh's done on the road, they've had some rough nights defensively. Columbus stands out. Carolina, they had a rough night there defensively. Buffalo ends up beating them on the road with 3 goals. Nashville gets to 3 goals against Pittsburgh as well in an overtime victory the other night. So I think Tampa can score some goals here. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, though, I think they've got the ability to maybe find the back of the net. And there is some truth to the fact that Pittsburgh has really played Tampa Bay well. 4 of the last 5 of the last 6 meetings, I should say, the Pittsburgh Penguins have beaten the Tampa Bay Lightning, including all 3. They played 3 times last year. Pittsburgh won all 3. Pittsburgh won both games in the Berg, 6-2, 7-3. And then the one game in Tampa Bay back in March of last season, 5-4 Penguins in overtime. So Pittsburgh really played them well. 3-0 against Tampa head-to-head last year. 3-0 to the over. And I mean, not even close as far as the totals in the games last year. All 3 of them flew over the total last season. So 3 bets here. I'm going to take a little small shot on Pittsburgh just based on that series history. I like the draw. It's worth a shot considering the game in Tampa Bay also went to overtime last year. You can get Pittsburgh-Tampa draw at a nice plus 370 at FanDuel. And definitely liking goals here tonight. Penguins and Lightning over 6.5 here at minus 115. This might be a decent look too for, and maybe Alex agrees because he's been looking at a lot of first period, both teams to score. This could be a game where you see that here tonight with Penguins and Lightning. And I do want to point out too with those Pittsburgh games, Pittsburgh put up 18 goals in 3 games last year against the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's worth noting, Vasilevsky, he did play, I think 2 of those 3 games, if I'm not mistaken. The 2 of those 3 starts, Vasilevsky was in net. So this, aura that we have, we're sometimes a little afraid of Vasilevsky. Well, first of all, since he's been back, he has been okay. He had the good game against Carolina. I don't think he was great against Colorado. He's still working his way back from a long absence away. And Pittsburgh, let's be real. I mean, Pittsburgh had a lot of success against Vasi last year. So I think Penguins can score tonight against him. And certainly I think Tampa will as well. What do you think here, Alex? Penguins, Lightning.
Yes. So, yeah, I am on the both teams to score in the first period, plus 145. But I'm torn really between sides here because, like I said, the series history is strong with Pittsburgh. And like you mentioned, 4, wins in a row, 5 of the last 6. And that's against Vasilevsky. Look, there's goalies who have, struggled against 1 or 2 teams in their entire career. I don't care how good of a goaltender you are. You have those teams that, are your Achilles heel, and that might be Pittsburgh for Andrei Vasilevsky. So it's something that we definitely have to kind of keep an eye on. I would take a shot here with the over and 6.5. Yeah, you have to play it now. There's no reason to try and wait here. This could be one of those kind of games where we see a crazy goal here early. So like I said, both teams to score first period and over 6.5. And I'm going to stay away from the side. Like I said, I'll lean toward Tampa Bay. I like their form. Like I said, everybody getting healthy. Vasilevsky back in net. So I'm leaning and looking at Tampa Bay. Maybe I jump in with something live, but as of right now, I'm just looking at the overs.
All right, so there we go. Maybe look at something live there. But like in most of all, the first period, both teams to score. And I agree, there could be an early goal potentially in this game. This might not be a game where you have that opportunity to wait 5-10 minutes for that first goal and get a better line, better number. Maybe you can, but I'm not totally sold on that being the case here tonight with these 2 teams based on the situation. And good game for props as well. For me, I would stick more, you're not getting the value, but when it's a team like Tampa, it's got all these proven performers offensively for all these years that have been silent for 2 games. This is one of these nights where you maybe want to keep it simple. While I've talked about Nick Paul and Barre Boulet and a lot of these players for value, maybe this is a night to really stick to the core. Point, Stamkos, Kucherov, to really lead them out of this little offensive funk of the last 2 games. That's probably what I would consider here in this game. And then for Pittsburgh, we've talked about how just pretty reliable lately Crosby's been. And he has been just terrific for the Pittsburgh Penguins. No question about that. Point machine, scoring goals for them as well. They just got Brian Rust back from a stint away as well from the team, and he scored in his return. So maybe someone else that might be able to get things going now that he's back from injury. So definitely a couple props that I'd be interested in, even though the value is not your typical Ian Cameron bargain bin value in that game. All right, Florida, Montreal. We've got Florida minus 260, road favorites. The total here, 6.5 in this game. I can't say I'm going to have too much on this game. It's obviously a rest advantage for the Florida Panthers. They played Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back on the road against the Leafs and the Senators. Yesterday off. Montreal was in Columbus last night. We're getting a nice 4-2 victory in that game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And now they return home here and face the Florida Panthers on a back-to-back situation. It's definitely spot advantage for the Panthers here in this game. Panthers have won 8 of the last 9 meetings as well versus the Montreal Canadiens. I do lean over just because how can you not when you look at what you've seen with these two teams head-to-head? 8-0-1, 7-0-1, I should say, to the over in the last 8 meetings. And all 8 of those games have gotten at least 7 goals, at least. And there's some really bonkers scores in some of these recent head-to-head games, Habs and Panthers. 5-2, 4-3, 7-4, 10-2. There was a 10-2 Montreal win, believe it or not, the only win Montreal had. And it was at the end of 2022. It was one of those deals where Florida had clinched everything. Montreal just laid it on them. And I think Florida was resting some players that night as well, that 10-2 game with Florida and Montreal that night. Then you saw 7-2 Florida, 6-2 Florida, 9-5 for Florida last March. And then, of course, the last meeting last year was 5-2. So you're talking about 8 straight head-to-heads, no fewer than 7 goals in any of them. So you know what the only thing I can do with this total at 6.5, over or pass for this better, as my old friend Teddy Covers would say. What do you think here, Alex? Florida and Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game where you can, kind of get creative with the total. You can go something like both teams to score 3 or more goals, plus 185. You can go with some alternate totals. I'm looking at a 7 flat, plus 155 at BetMGM. So I might be just kind of maybe chopping a unit up and just kind of sprinkling all over on over 6.5. First period over 2, just kind of just maybe target overs, because that's clearly the history in this series. A lot of just craziness and very high scoring affairs. So no reason to stay away from that. Just go for everything over. So I'll have that all kind of written down. I'm just kind of just processing it as I'm looking at just some of these, but I will definitely be having both teams to score first period, both teams to score 3 or more goals, over 6.5, and I'll take a shot with over 7 as well.
Yeah. And it's just been wide open, weird games, a lot of bad defense, a lot of power plays too. We've noticed in the head-to-head matchups. So it's just really, really strong how much these two teams have seen goals scored between them. We'll see if that continues here tonight in this game. I mean, Sam Reinhart, definitely, I think worth a look. Matthew Tkachuk, by the way, has destroyed Montreal in the past. This guy has really racked up big numbers against the Montreal Canadiens. So make sure you keep that in mind. Here's a prop I cashed with last night. And on the Montreal side, I'd look in that direction again. Alex Newhook. Okay, he's playing on the top line for the Montreal Canadiens with Suzuki and Gallagher. And man, he's been very, very good. Really, really impressive. This guy now has 5 goals in the last 6 games for the Montreal Canadiens. So some really impressive work being put in by Alex Newhook, who's now got 7 on the season, is probably going to smash his previous career high when he was with the Colorado Avalanche. So definitely liking goals in this game with a couple prop looks. I think even though you're not getting great value with a guy like Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, he has just completely done significant damage against Montreal. So it does make sense from that standpoint. And like I say, Alex Newhook has been really solid for Montreal since moving to the top line for them. All right, Islanders, Hurricanes. We've got Carolina minus 220, home favorites, 6 the total in this game, shaded towards the under. The Islanders, like we've talked about throughout much of the season, they're just not your auto under team anymore, not even close. Instead, 5-2 they are to the over in the last 7 games. Carolina, kind of the opposite. They are 5-2 to the under in their last 7 games, including 2 straight. I don't know that this game, what I'm going to do with it. Carolina should win, minus 180. Islanders slumping again. They've lost 2 in a row since that 3-game win streak. Islanders are not a team I'm really that interested in. Here's what I might get involved with here as I look at it. Maybe the draw could be worth a look here. We know the Islanders have played a lot of close games. We know we were inches away from another Islander overtime game against New Jersey on Tuesday night during the betcast. It was a Devils goal in the final 30 seconds to win that game. That close to another overtime game. The game against the Flyers before that for the Islanders went to a shootout. They've gone past regulation in four of their last 7 games, I should say, coming into tonight. Each of the last 2 head-to-head meetings, Islanders-Canes has gone to overtime. So there you go. That's what I'll be on in this game. Nothing on the side, nothing on the total other than the draw. Draw, you'll get a good number. You got the Islanders with the propensity to play close games right now. Definitely makes a lot of sense here, looking at the potential of maybe overtime once again in an Islanders game, something that has become a very common occurrence for them in recent games. You can find the draw at a great plus 370 in this game over at FanDuel. Alex, what do you think here? Islanders, Hurricanes.
Yeah, that's it. The draw, plus 370. This is with the old Ron Popeil infomercial. Set it and forget it. You just bet this game, and I probably won't even turn to it, to be honest. Like I said, the Islanders, I don't know how they've gone from being like just clamped down defensive stalwarts and like the most boring team to watch to somehow playing sloppy hockey, but still not being exciting to watch. Like it's just something really
they
weird.
They are a little more exciting, a little bit, but you're right.
A little bit,
but
not, it's not like
if
you said the Islanders were an over machine right now, you'd think, oh, okay, maybe this is like an entertaining team. They just aren't. There's just something weird about the Islanders, and I've been saying this for like a year and a half now. It's just something that I don't really kind of wrap my head around with that team. But I'm just going to go with the draw. Like you said, this definitely seems like it could be low and slow kind of a game. That I think about that playoff series, how we both tried to get the exact series down right, and looked like we were having some pace with that. But yeah, going with the draw at plus 370.
All right, there we go. Good stuff there. All right, Sabres and Blues. I don't have much on props in that game, so I'll probably won't bet much in the prop market there. Sabres and Blues. We've got St. Louis minus 120, home favorites, 6.5 the total. They're becoming an aggravating bunch for me, this Buffalo Sabres team. They really are. Their best game is capable of beating the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden like they did, obviously, on Monday night. It was a very impressive performance by the Sabres. And their worst game can lose to Washington at home. Their worst game can lose 7-2 to New Jersey, over the weekend. Their worst game can lose, go on down the list. There's just so many instances. Get shut out by Pittsburgh 4-0, and yet bounce back against Pittsburgh at home and beat them 3-2. It's just all over the map for Buffalo. And stringing together good performances has been impossible for them. Impossible. 0-5 in their last 5 games after a win for the Buffalo Sabres. So, I missed my opportunity. I should have been on them against the Rangers the other night, and I was kind of had cold feet because the Rangers were playing well going into that game. I missed that opportunity. I ain't betting Buffalo here, because they have got to show the ability to put 2 dubs on the board together, one after another, and it's something that they are struggling with right now, no question. So do I want to lay a price with St. Louis, though, right now? No. I don't. So this is definitely a pass from a side perspective. Totals, it's tricky because I think if you look at Buffalo, I like what I've seen, believe it or not. And they made the decision, by the way, big news from Buffalo yesterday, to send Devin Levi down to Rochester, Alex. We've talked about this.
Yep. Maybe
give him that opportunity to, get a lot of action down there, not have to worry about playing every other game up here. Let Eric Comrie and UPL handle things with the Buffalo Sabres in net for now, and then see where Levi's progress is. You don't have to rush him, and they let him play in college for years, but that's college. It doesn't mean you have to rush him in the pros. And maybe right now in the pros, he needs some more seasoning and time down with the Rochester Americans in the AHL. So they're going to give him that opportunity. And in the meantime, let Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Eric Comrie handle things in between the pipes. And Eric Comrie's capable. And to be quite honest with you, Alex, last 2 times we've seen UPL, he's been good. He's stepped up and he's played better, holding the Rangers to outperform and outduel the New York Rangers in that game and hold them to 1 goal in a very impressive performance. He's actually won 3 straight starts, Alex, coming into this game. Held Chicago to 2 goals, held Pittsburgh to 3 goals, or 2 goals in a victory at home. beat the Rangers the other night. So he's on a nice little 3-0 win streak right now. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in goal for the Sabres. So that's what they've got going for them. He's played better, but the team has simply got to show they can win 2 in a row before I'm putting my money on them in a spot like this, coming off a win. Simple as that. So it's probably a pass for me. I will note this, though, about the total. While I think Buffalo has cleaned things up a little defensively, Luukkonen's playing well, and St. Louis is capable of playing a high-scoring or a low-scoring game, Sabres and Blues, Alex, is 7 straight overs between them. Hard to ignore that. 7 straight overs, 4-3, 5-2, 5-1, 5-3, 6-2, 6-2, 5-3. I mean, it's just been a high-scoring palooza. It's Buffalo versus St. Louis. So I got to lean over simply because of that. What do you think here, Alex? Sabres, Blues.
Yeah, first period, both teams to score here. Got to find that price. But I also, like I said, the over in the first period and full game, but I want to grab those live. I don't think we're going to get goals here super quick. I think we'll have time to be able to grab better prices adjusted. So we're talking laying 130 with a 5.5. Hopefully grabbing maybe minus $1.20 or $1.15 with that first period. So that's what we're looking at as far as the both teams to score, which I'm trying to pull that up now. Plus 145 for the first period, both teams to score, along with the live looks for the totals.
There we go. All right. First period, both teams to score. And Alex looking at maybe a live first period and full game over here in this one with the Sabres and the Blues. As far as player props go in this one, Benson and Peterka flanking Cousins, I think, have great value. Peterka's been great. Peterka's been a really good, consistent producer offensively this year for the Buffalo Sabres. And you know where we're going for St. Louis. Still on that top line, Jake Neighbors, Robert Thomas, take your pick. Both of those guys are still great value right now for the St. Louis Blues in order to find the back of the net. So, yeah, Barry, great call on Wash, but I cashed my bet, Barry. That's the thing. I mean, you can crow all you want about winning with the Capitals. I won in that game, too. I had the under 2.5, and it still cashed even though they won the game. So we're both happy. So it's nice. That's good. Both of us got the win there in that game. But, yeah, so in this one, a couple props, like I said, Peterka, for the Sabres, Benson for the Sabres, and maybe look at Neighbors and Robert Thomas again, who have been really, really solid here for the Buffalo or for the St. Louis Blues in recent games as well. All right, we move along here, keeping a nice brisk pace for this huge card. Next up, as we continue along, it is there we go, Edmonton Oilers, Winnipeg Jets. Edmonton minus 120, road favorites in this game, 6.5 the total. This is an over for me. It's not going to be anything overly complicated. Winnipeg or Edmonton's an over team until I see them really tighten things up, and they're still working on that. It's still a work in progress for them at the defensive end of the ice right now for Edmonton, no question. But here's the thing. Their offense and Connor McDavid in particular has exploded in the points department. In the last 3 games. These 3 games that the Oilers have won, 3 in a row, Washington, Anaheim, and Vegas. Connor McDavid, man, he is finding his footing again, and that's an understatement. He had 4 assists, 4 points in the Washington game in that 5-0 win. He had 5 points, 1 goal, 4 assists against Anaheim. And then against the Vegas Golden Knights, defending champs the other night, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. So he's got double figures in points just in the last 3 games alone right now for the 11 points in 3 games. There it is from Mike. Yep. Just all of a sudden, everyone was worried. What's wrong with Connor McDavid? Doesn't look himself. Doesn't look like he's happy. Looks like he's depressed. Looks like he's injured. Looks like he shit himself. Whatever you can say. I mean, it's everyone had a million things to say about Connor. He's just not himself right now. Something's going on with him. But at the same point in time, that talk has certainly subsided here in the last 3 games based on the way he's played. And look, Oilers go as number 97 goes. It's not overly complicated to figure that out. So they're a dangerous team right now. I don't want to step in front of Edmonton, but do I want to lay minus 120 on the road against a Winnipeg team coming off not 1 now, but 2 losses in a row? They lost the last game of their roadie against Nashville with Brossoit in net, and then they had a shutout loss to Dallas the other night. Very, very good game in net from Ottinger that night. So you would think Winnipeg's come into play here tonight after 2 straight losses. And I would expect them to also be able to contribute offensively here in this game. Worth noting, last year, these two teams played each other 4 times. It was actually a split, 2 overs, 2 unders. But the one game in Winnipeg was not just an over, it was a wild over. It was 7-5 back in March. Winnipeg beating Edmonton last year. So for me, nothing on the side, just over 6.5 here, minus 120 for me with that. What do you think here, Alex? Oilers, Jets.
Yeah, I probably will take a shot with both teams to score first period, and maybe look for an over live. But this is one where, we'd probably be trying to grab. Maybe this is one where you use MGM, try to grab a 6 at plus money. Rather than saying waiting for 5.5. So that's probably the approach I have here. This may be a game I don't even get to turn and do more often. There's a couple other games in the late slate I like a little more. So.
Yeah, and as far as props go for this game, it would probably be right now, while you ride the wave with really the big guns, especially McDavid. I do want to point out Matthias Janmark is up on the top line with McDavid tonight. So you know what it means. He can make a broomstick look good sometimes when he's on his game, Connor McDavid. So Matthias Janmark could be worth a look. Again, moving up the lineup on the top unit with number 97. So that's Matthias Janmark plus 550. I'm seeing at Betano and some other books to find the back of the net tonight. You're talking about someone that's playing with a guy that's got 11 points in the last 3 games for the Edmonton Oilers. And a lot of those points have been assists. So who's gonna put that puck in the net? Well, Janmark is one of the 2 line mates tonight with McDavid. So that's definitely, and that by the way was one of the players I had on my bargain bin special of the night candidate list tonight. Matthias Janmark for the Edmonton Oilers. So, and I haven't made up my mind. I will once we get to that segment. But yeah, definitely at that price, you can't argue with that. The Nuge as well. The Nuge is going to be on that top line with McDavid and Janmark as well. And now his price isn't as good, plus 265, but still not a bad value there. And then for Winnipeg, we've talked about, Connor and Scheifele. They've been on fire. They've been doing well. Ehlers scored a beauty of a goal against Nashville the other night. But for me, Perfetti remains one of my favorite value props right now for this Winnipeg Jets team, no question. Cuban's liking Evander Kane against his old team. Remember, he was with Winnipeg a long time ago, so definitely I could look in that direction with the old former team angle going into this game. All right, the John Hynes era started with a victory in his first game behind the bench against St. Louis the other night. Can it continue tonight as his Minnesota Wild travel to the Music City to take on the Nashville Predators? We've got Nashville minus 125 home favorites in this game, total 6 across the board. I said this after the Minnesota game the other night against St. Louis. Normally, when I see a coaching change, I'm going to bet the team the first game. And in the majority of instances, if that team wins the first game with the new coach, I'll keep riding it moving forward. I ain't doing that here with Minnesota. There's still some things I didn't like. What I liked is they played well defensively. What I liked is that Gustafsson had a better game in net. What I like is that Matt Boldy got off the schneid, someone that's been feeling the heat for his lack of offensive production early in the season. All good things, but I found way too passive once they got the lead. Just sitting back, holding on, protecting the lead. John Hynes, sucking out all the air and energy and excitement from that team after the first period, which he does sometimes, which we've seen in the past from this guy when he's been behind an NHL bench. It's not what I wanted to see. They got the job done, but to say it was pretty and it was dominant, not necessarily. And they're going to be playing a red-hot Nashville team right now that is just playing outstanding hockey right now, and we've talked about it. I don't think the Predators are going to keep this up, but I'm happy for Brunette. They're now above 500. They're 8-4 at home. Minnesota's just brutal on the road, 2-8. Now, those are all Dean Evison games, and things clearly fell apart under Evison. This is the first John Hynes game, cleansing of the spirit. I get all that. Maybe a new team now on the road, but I got to see it before I believe it, especially playing a red-hot 6 straight wins type of team like the Nashville Predators, who enter this game on a 6-game win streak. So I'm very tempted to take Nashville here, actually, in this game. But I'm not. It's bet on versus maybe bet on. I mean, I don't want to jump in front of Minnesota, the coaching angle, but at the same time, I don't trust them enough. And I certainly don't want to go against Nashville right now, playing some really good hockey. Their offense is flowing. Philip Forsberg's rolling. The top line's rolling. Saros in net has been very good during this stretch. So lean Nashville, but probably a pass for me. Alex, what do you think here? Wild Predators.
I like Nashville here. Nashville has, played well against the Wild, and like I said, they got the offense rolling, and I don't trust in John Hines. And like I said, what we saw, that one game bump, I believe it's just that, a one game bump. I think we see them regress back. Like I said, Gustafsson has been, up and down. He's had some good starts and, had some wins early, and then he's had some great starts, but then gave up some soft goals. And then, like you said, there's never been a consistent pattern of him having just great games and making big saves and only allowing 2 goals of fear like he had all last season. It's like he has, a great game, but then all the goals that he let up were shitty goals that he should have stopped. And then all of a sudden the game's, in overtime, but they lose 4-3 in the shootout. So, yeah, his inconsistency still has me worried. There's a player prop that I do like for Minnesota here, but I'm taking Nashville. Also going with first period over 1.5 minus 140. Predators game, so we're going both teams to score first period as well. And might even take a small shot. I'll look in the Nashville first period puck line, kind of leaning with that too. I think Nashville could come out hot and heavy in this one. So.
This is one where if I'm liking the over in this game, I prefer it early as well. I'd be looking at, your both teams to score in your first period over, because it did cash with Minnesota, remember, against St. Louis. But I'd be careful about full game here, because we saw low and slow later in that game, as Alex would say, second and third period, Minnesota, St. Louis. And we actually saw it with Nashville against Pittsburgh, as well the other night, where it kind of slowed down after the first period in that game. So keep that in mind, where if you like goals, I think the first period, targeting that is probably a good option. Is RotoWire wrong? Because RotoWire had Janmark on the top line for Edmonton. If that's incorrect, I may have to adjust my plans there. But let me check. That's why it's always good to check multiple sites, confirm what exactly the deal is. Let me just see. Daily Faceoff, we'll check them out.
He's the fourth liner on Daily Faceoff.
Yeah, he is. So that might be a misprint there for RotoWire.
Let me look at left wing block right quick.
They got Hyman and Nuge with McDavid at Daily Faceoff. Brown, Draisaitl. Okay, all right, scratch that.
Yeah.
I probably defer to Daily Faceoff being correct there. So yeah, if that's the case, we'll scratch that as far as using Janmark for bargain bin or as prop just in general, knowing that he might be playing on the top line tonight. For props in this game, I'd say anyone on the top line for Nashville. I would say, because he finally scored the other night, and you know what that can be like, right? When you finally score and you've been on the struggling, and maybe the floodgates start to open, maybe Boldy. Or Rossi. Rossi has been steady all year for Minnesota. So look in those two directions. All right, Dallas and Calgary. Next up, we've got Calgary Calgary minus 125, road favorite, 6 the total in this game. I really like Dallas in this game. I really, really do. This is a meaningful revenge spot for the Dallas Stars. They just played last Friday, and it was a horrendous collapse by Dallas. I couldn't believe my eyes. Now, they did this shit against Colorado in a home game earlier this year, but to do that against Calgary, I couldn't believe it. It was a really, really stunning development to see Calgary down 4-3 in that game, come all the way back, and then end up winning that game 7-4 against the Dallas Stars the other night. I don't think Dallas has forgotten that. I think Dallas knows we just absolutely, pissed all over ourselves, essentially, in that 7-4 loss to the Calgary Flames, a horrendous third period. I think it's a bounce-back type of spot for them against this opponent. Dallas has also done well in Calgary. They've won each of the last 2 trips to the Saddle Dome. Close games, both of them, but they won 6-5, 4-3. Probably have to lean over here. I mean, we've talked about this every time these teams play, Alex, Stars and the Flames. There's goals. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know how this happens every time they play, but it does. This year, 2 meetings, 4-3, 7-4, both go over the total. 5 straight meetings have gone over the total. as well. So 2 bets here. Dallas minus 125, short turnaround revenge spot. And this is meaningful because they had that lead and they had a brutal third period at home against Calgary when these teams played last Friday. They're going to want to make amends for that. I think they will. And they're still the better team than Calgary, in my opinion, as well, even though Calgary did get a nice win against Vegas, but Vegas is a beatable team right now, not playing their best hockey. So Stars minus 125 and also over 6 minus 125 in this one. Alex, Dallas, Calgary.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get you backing Dallas here, but like I said, they got to show me something. And this is one where I'm going to be just taking the first period over. I love that spot. And of course, we've been riding that with Calgary as of late. But this is one I would more than likely be jumping in live. If Dallas can show me some fight and some energy early, and maybe, but they're not necessarily scoring right away, then I can try and jump in. Or I can try and hope, wait for the first period over the cash. Maybe we get both teams scoring. I don't really like that look necessarily, both teams to score first period. I might end up dabbling with that last minute, but I like the first period over 1.5 a bit more than just both teams scoring in this spot. Like I said, if Dallas does get off to a hot run, I can see where they maybe just control the pace throughout this game. They take care of business here. So it's definitely a big step-up game for Dallas, and if I had to play a side, it would be on the Stars, but I might jump in live. I'm just going to go with the first period over.
All right, like in the first period over, lean Dallas, but nothing pregame with that. As far as player props go in this game, and I assume we're going to see Jake Ottinger here in net, though not confirmed as of no, it's Wedgwood. I beg your pardon, Wedgwood for I still like Dallas a lot in this spot, even with Scott Wedgwood. Scott Wedgwood's not incapable. Keep that. And by the way, Ottinger was in net for that 7-4 Calgary win on Friday night. Let's not forget that. So maybe throwing Scott Wedgwood's 4-1 as a starter this year. So we need to just, we know he's not Jake Ottinger, but we need to breathe, calm down, and realize that he's a capable enough backup NHL goaltender who's actually had a nice year on a team that when they're on their game defensively can really help him out. All right. So they're 4-1. He's 5 appearances this year, 4-1 record for Jake Ottinger in his starts. And another thing, too, is they've given him a lot of quote unquote run support, to steal a baseball term. They scored 6 for him in his last start against the Rangers, 3 against Winnipeg, 4 against Edmonton. Like, he's won each of his last 3 starts. And look at the wins too. Look who they beat. Look who Wedgwood beat in his last 3 starts. Okay, Edmonton struggled this year, but they're getting back going again a little bit. Winnipeg and the Rangers, the other 2. So those are good hockey teams, really good hockey teams that Dallas beat with Scott Wedgwood in that. So it doesn't shake me off Dallas at all in this game. In fact, maybe it's a good thing because Ottinger certainly, he's had his tough times with Calgary, in a few of these recent games against the Calgary Flames. So I think Pete DeBoer sees that here and says, you know what, let's give Scott the opportunity here tonight against the Calgary Flames. As far as props go, I really like what I'm seeing in particular for Dallas from Marchment's line. Marchment, Duchesne, and Seguin. Not to say Robertson, Hintz, and Pavelski haven't been good, or Ben Johnston and Donov can't be good. I think their best line lately has been Marchment, Duchesne, and Seguin. So any one of those players are worth a look. And I would say keep trying with Igor Sharangovich on the top line for Calgary, and maybe anything is Pospisil, Martin Pospisil, and Connor Zary, who's back in the lineup now for Calgary on their second line. So a couple of prop considerations there for me with those. All right, let's move along. We've got Colorado, Arizona. Colorado minus 190, road favorites, 6.5 being the total here in this game. Interesting spot here for Colorado. Obviously, they are a team coming off that victory against the Tampa Bay Lightning in their last game. We'll see if they're able to keep that going here tonight, taking on the Arizona Coyotes, who themselves are coming off a very solid win against the Tampa Bay Lightning at home the other night. Georgiev confirmed in net for Colorado. Connor Ingram once again for Arizona. This guy, Connor Ingram, now after that win against Tampa Bay, he is now 8-3-1 this season. Think about that. This is Arizona Coyotes hockey, folks. We don't think of 8-3-1 being a record we equate with Arizona. But Connor Ingram, starting this season for the Coyotes, is 8-3-1, 2.49 goals against average, .924 save percentage. So he has been really strong He has given the Coyotes a chance to win the majority of their recent games, and that's continued for this Arizona team. You look at against Colorado, Arizona had a stretch where they beat Colorado 3 straight games, February 1st, 2022, till the first meeting of last year, December 27th. They won 3 straight against Colorado. Colorado won the next 3, all of them in the month of March last year, but they had to work and grind for it. 3-2 in overtime, 3-1, and 4-3 in a shootout. So, Arizona has really given Colorado fits and really given them a tough game repeatedly. And Colorado's playing good, 4 straight. But you look at what they've got here going into this game, and they've got this game. Then they start a mini California swing after this against Anaheim and LA over the weekend. Arizona, they've won 2 in a row. This feels like it's a close game, competitive game. We don't talk about plus 1.5 puck lines very much, but plus 1.5, it's minus 142, minus 145. I mean, a 1-goal game totally wouldn't shock me here between these two teams. There was a 1-goal game in March, 3-1 Colorado, 3-2 Colorado, and then Arizona won a couple of 1-goal games. Like, there's been just a lot of close games head-to-head, Avalanche and Coyotes. So I'm going to do a small dog draw split here, believe it or not. Small Arizona, small draw split here in this game, Avalanche and Coyotes. Got to be a little bold sometimes, and not exactly as trustworthy in Colorado tonight coming off the Tampa game. And at home they've been feasting. Let's keep in mind, on the road, it was a close nip and tuck game with a struggling Wild team in their last road game. They fell asleep and they collapsed in the third period, and they lost to Nashville on the road game before that. So I just think in this spot, Arizona is going to make it a tough game on them. So I don't mind taking a small shot here with that dog and draw split that has become a customary look for me when I look at a underdog spot. So Arizona plus 160 small, and the draw, man, plus 390 at FanDuel for the draw in this game. And again, keep in mind with this head-to-head, we've seen 4 games past regulation in the last 8. So that's half of the last 8 meetings have gone beyond regulation. And we have seen a 1-goal game between Arizona and Colorado in 3 of the last 5 meetings as well. So it's not a bad look, in my opinion, here to go this direction, especially with Ingram's form in net. What do you think here, Alex? Colorado, Arizona.
Yeah, that's my only play in the spot. Like I said, the draw, and I grabbed it looking at FanDuel now. So grabbing that 390, definitely the one spot to take. Like I said, with that kind of a history and still getting that kind of a number and price, that's worth taking. And like I said, I remember seeing a couple of these Colorado Arizona games. Like I said, the Avalanche kind of, and it didn't matter about Molinarino or the old Glendale place. They always kind of seemed to play just a different kind of style whenever they were in Arizona for whatever reason. Not always at their top flight potential. So yeah, give me the draw here.
All right, liking the draw here for Alex as well. Prop wise, I do worry about how much they're going to score against this. He's, like I say, he's Connor Brodeur right now. Connor Ingram, he's playing really well. But Big Val Nichushkin, we've talked about him. He's on fire. Jonathan Drouin continues to be worth a look as well, as long as he stays on the second line. And then for Arizona, Michelli, Krause, Bukestad, anyone on that line has been very good. And don't sleep on Michael Carcone all of a sudden. Third line for Arizona. This guy has 3 goals in the last 3 games for them. So a little bargain bin look there maybe on Michael Carcone for the Arizona Coyotes tonight in this game. All right, next up, we've got Washington and Anaheim. Geez, isn't what a joy it is that we get Washington on the card again. Second straight night. They are minus 120 road favorites in Anaheim against the struggling, and I mean struggling, Anaheim Ducks. It has been a tough go for Greg Cronin's team after that great surge they had. The total 6 here in this game. I actually lean Anaheim here. It's just I wish they weren't on this bad losing streak. They're hard to back right now. But if you think for a minute I'm laying a price on the road on a back-to-back situation on the road with a Washington team coming off a shocking win against LA, which they only won because of their goaltender, by the way. It's the only reason they ended up winning that game. Kings got Lindgren in that game last night. There's no way I'm taking Washington in this spot. No way whatsoever. Anaheim's been rough. 7 straight losses. But look at the situation. They've got a nice little rest advantage here. Back home after the Vancouver game. Washington now on the back-to-back here. Third road game in 4 nights as well for the Washington Capitals. And by the way, it's been a very close competitive series history between these two teams. Yeah, the draw. Here's another one where the draw might be worth a look here. We've seen 3 games go past regulation in the last 4 meetings with the Capitals and the Ducks. Definitely could see something similar here. So haven't bet it yet, but I'm certainly interested right now in Anaheim a little bit at plus 100. And the draw is certainly worth a look. Again, 3 of the last 4 meetings have gone past regulation. Anaheim's been wretched, okay, defensively. Absolutely wretched. But Washington's not a team I'm trusting to bet overs with right now. And they've gone under in 3 straight games, and I don't trust their offense. And you know what's been at the crux of Anaheim's problems? Their penalty kill, which has been dreadful. They have given up 6 power play goals, Anaheim, in their last 5 games. Well, now they go against the dead last power play in the NHL, the Washington Capitals. Washington hasn't scored a power play goal since October. Okay, that tells you all you need to know. October is the last time the Washington Capitals scored a power play goal. If there's ever a night Anaheim's going to defend somebody and shut a team down and shut a power play down, it's going to be Washington here tonight. So for me, it's an Anaheim draw lean with both of those. What do you think here, Alex? Washington, Anaheim.
Yeah, it would just be a lean for me. Like I said, I wish Anaheim was playing better hockey right now, but there's no way I can take Washington. So this is going to be a pass for me. This big of a card, I've already got plenty of things in play, so I'll be skipping this one.
No doubt. And again, they did score 2 goals last night, Washington, but again, both at even strength. The power play is still lifeless. This Washington Capitals team, what do they have? A couple power plays last night. Yeah, it went 0 for 2, 0 for 3, 0 for 5. That's unreal. They've gone, they basically have, if they don't score on the power play tonight, they will, because it's the last day of November, they will have gone a full month, a full calendar month with 0 power play goals. That's unreal. That's unfathomable that could happen. And yet that is something that's a possibility here if they don't get a power play marker tonight in this game. All right. The only prop I would look at there on Anaheim is my guy McTavish. That's about it right now. It's obviously a team going through things, but like I say, it sets up nicely for Anaheim. We'll see if they can snap the losing streak and take advantage of, I think, a spot that's in their favor. All right. Final game of the night. Could be the game of the night. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Vancouver Canucks. We've got Vancouver minus 125 home favorites in this game. 6.5 shaded to the under the total here in this one. The Vegas Golden Knights are officially in their first tailspin of the season. And look, it's not every team. I should say every team is going to go through, a slump. Every team is going to go through a valley. There's going to be a bump in the road at some point for every team, no matter how good they are. And right now, Vegas is in 1-5 in their last 6 games. Their offense has completely and utterly dried up. I think that's the biggest issue. And until the other night when Edmonton fell asleep with a 4-2 lead, kind of let them back in it, but still ended up losing 5-4 in a shootout. But yeah, they have definitely had their issues offensively. Before that, this team had been shut out in 2 games and scored just 3 goals in the other 2 games. So they are definitely having their issues offensively right now. And keep in mind as well with the Golden Knights, they're a bit of a banged-up team as well with what they're dealing with. Shea Theodore on IR. Alec Martinez is out. And I don't think it's a coincidence, Alex, that Shea Theodore, since he's been out, the offense has really stumbled because he just drives so much of it from the back end with his puck movement and his skating ability. And you just don't have that right now with this Vegas team. Now, for Vancouver, there is some trepidation for me, in these step up in class spots, these prove yourself spots. We think Vancouver's good. We don't think Vancouver's going anywhere. And we think they're a playoff team. There's no question about that. But lately in some of these spots where they've had a chance to use an opponent as a measuring stick situation, they've had some issues. Toronto, measuring stick, lost. Colorado, measuring stick game, lost 5-2. Can they step up in one of these games? And Vancouver has been a little bit more hit or miss the last 10 games compared to the red hot start. Vancouver's only a 500 team right now in their last 10 games. But in this game, they get Vegas at home. Okay, that's the good news for them. They get the Vegas Golden Knights on home ice for this game, where they are 8-2, by the way, on the season, Vancouver. They get that opportunity at home. A Vegas team that, as far as offensive confidence goes, struggling with it right now. No question about it. And Chandler Stevenson, Mark Stone, they've been quiet. Marchessault has been tepid by his standards. Eichel's been tepid. Really, the only guy that's been consistently getting things rolling for Vegas is William Karlsson. He's the only one I wouldn't throw in the underwhelming offensive performance category right now for Vegas. Karlsson. Everyone else is underwhelming offensively at the moment compared to what they're capable of. Eichel, Marchessault, Stevenson, Stone, go on down the list. So I'm going to take my shot here with Vancouver tonight. Minus 125 in this game. This game matters to them. It's the Stanley Cup champs, and they're building. They want to validate the start they've had. They haven't played their best hockey the last few games, but I know they're amped up for this. The home record is still very strong, and they get Vegas at their most vulnerable right now when they're not playing their best hockey. And I think Vegas, once they get home, you're gonna and they get Martinez and or Theodore back, you're going to see the worm turn for them. But right now, they're a beatable bunch at this point in time. So definitely look a little bit toward Vancouver here. And here's another one where I might take a little shot on the draw, because if you look at the games in Vancouver, 2 1-goal games won by Vegas last year, and then also a Vancouver win 5-4 in overtime. So very, very close 1-goal games here between these two teams. So the draw is in play potentially here in this game. And again, FanDuel, make sure you're using FanDuel to bet the draws, not because we're being paid by FanDuel, but because you get the best prices on the draw, plus 340 at FanDuel for the draw in this game. All right, what do you think here, Alex? Vegas, Vancouver.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this at the end of yesterday's show when we were off air. And as I said, Canucks at that cheap of a price with how bad Vegas has been playing lately. Like I said, this is the worst we've seen Vegas since game 1 of the playoffs last year. You remember game 1 where we saw them kind of skating at half speed, look like they were in quicksand? They're not doing that, but they look as bad as in that moment. And so, like I said, every team is going to go through a slump, and until they break out of it, you got to fade them. So I'll take Vancouver. I was able to find $1.20.
All right, yeah, like in Vancouver. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the draw here as well in this game. And then prop-wise, I mean, for me, if you're going to look at anyone for Vegas right now, it's William Karlsson, Wild Bill. Like I say, he's been the one guy that's been still getting things going offensively for this group when everyone else has kind of had a tougher time finding the back of the net. Vancouver, by the way, Ilya Mikheyev, I should point out, he's day-to-day, but it looks like he's going to play, so he's going to be good to go tonight. There was some concern about the injury he suffered in the Anaheim game the other night, but he's good to go. I still stand by, Miller and Besser. You got to bet these two right now. They're on fire. If you're going to bet any Vancouver props, you got to look at Miller and Besser. They've been absolutely outstanding. So I'd look in that direction. But I'm also going to stand steadfast that Kuzmenko is going to find his way offensively at some point. He got, like I say, healthy scratched, health bombed a few games ago for 2 games, came back against Anaheim, didn't score, but he had a couple shots. Kuzmenko may be a wake-up call that game. So definitely, like I said, Kuzmenko, I'm going to stand by that I think he's still worth a look. And he's a good player that got the wake-up call, I think, from Rick Tocchet when he got benched for 2 games there. Definitely looking at that as far as player props tonight in this one. All right, great stuff. That is the Thursday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. 173 live viewers on YouTube watching now. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And I should point out, I do want to mention something because Joe from Fired Up Network mentioned this to me earlier today, and we provide the shows on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, the bigger days to them. They are in. They're going to have an agreement to launch something, I don't know, in the States called True TV Plus or something like that. It's a streaming service, so they're going to be involved with that. So you might be seeing the Ice Guys shows that we send to them on that at some point, which would be pretty damn cool. So we're excited about that, and that's going to be rolling out in the new year. In January 2024. So excited about that, and shout out to the folks at Fired Up Network. In the meantime, again, patreon.com/Ice Guys while we wait for the YouTube memberships to get ironed out. And again, that's just $10 a month. You'll find the content there, the pieces there, the articles, the power ratings, goalie charts, the daily card, of course, all that, patreon.com/Ice Guys. And again, the store, Alex will hit on it. Yes. Sale prices, man, but not for much longer. Get your Christmas merch for the Ice Guys.
Yeah. So our shop, Spread Shop, they aren't doing any more Christmas sales. Everything that'll be listed as the price, that's what you're going to see all of December. But you have 4 days left to save 15% off and get free standard shipping, which will ensure that your package comes in time for Christmas. So do not miss out on that for the next 4 days. 15% off and free standard shipping. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Again, all the merch there, and a great time of year to get yourself some Ice Guys merch because, Christmas is right around the corner, and definitely now's the time. Get yourself something, get a loved one something.
Yeah.
But definitely get involved with the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We're going to get involved with heading on down to the bargain bin. Once again, it's time for the bargain bin special of the night. Alex, I know you have one, so we'll start with you on this. What do you like for your bargain bin tonight?
Yeah, we're heading down to Music City. I like Nashville in the game, but there's a player that's been really kind of sticking out from the last game, and I've been listening to a couple of interviews, read a couple of articles. The Minnesota Wild are really trying to hone in on him, and they're looking at him as the future on that blue line. It's Brock Faber. In the top defensive spot. You can get him to score a goal as high as plus 1,100 at BetMGM. I think he's going to be a guy who's going to be, focused in more in John Hines' game plan. Bill Guerin as well has, shown massive confidence in him. This is a guy who could be a future leader, a captain down the line potentially. And I think he's going to have at least a solid night. I think he's going to be able to get on the board. So plus 1,100, can't shy away from that. Brock Faber to score a goal here. That's my bargain bin special.
There we go. Liking that. Bargain bin special of the night for Alex B. Smith. And that is a true bargain. Brock Faber, defenseman for the Minnesota Wild. Again, you can get that at just an outstanding price here tonight. Brock Faber plus 1,100 to find the back of the net. 1,100 is at BetMGM, PointsBet. Many places have it out there at that price. So make sure you get involved with that. My bargain bin special of the night, you know what? As you know, last night in the for the bargain bin special, I picked Andrew Kopp for Detroit, but I also had this guy on my radar from Detroit for bargain bin special of the night, and I didn't use him, and sure enough, he scored against the Rangers. Well, I'm going to use him tonight for bargain bin special of the night. Robbie Fabry for the Detroit Red Wings at plus 320 for my bargain bin special of the night. He is healthy. He is on the second line. And he is absolutely on fire since joining this lineup. Since returning to the team in 7 games, he has 4 goals, including 3 goals in the last 4 games for the Detroit Red Wings, including a goal last night in the loss to the New York Rangers. So Robbie Fabry is absolutely getting his timing back, his rhythm back, his confidence back, and his finishing ability back. 3 goals in the last 4 games. Let's take Robbie Fabry, Detroit Red Wings, at plus 320 for my bargain bin special of the night on this Thursday card. All right, best bets. The struggling best bets at the moment, but it's a long season. They'll turn around tonight. Hopefully that's the case. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, going right back to that same game with Wild and Predators. We're going first period over 1.5. You get that as high as $1.40. 16-3 for the first period over the last 19 for Nashville. Like I said, Minnesota's got this little bit of a spark now with the coaching change. Maybe we could see some goals there early from them as well. I think it's going to be a good back and forth battle. So let's go with first period over Preds and Wild. That's my best bet.
All right, Minnesota, Nashville over 1.5 first period. For Alex B. Smith with the Preds and the Wild. My best bet for this card, and I'm going to go side. Totals aren't working. We're going to go side right now for tonight, and even with Wedgwood and net, I like it. At minus 125, we're going to roll with the Dallas Stars. I love the situation. They had just a disheartening loss to this Calgary team on home ice. They're still the better of these 2 teams. Wedgwood has a 4-1 record. He's won each of his last 3 starts against Edmonton, Winnipeg, and the New York Rangers, quality teams. Dallas gets the job done tonight on the road. Dallas Stars minus 125 for my best bet for this Thursday NHL card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will see you tomorrow and talk to you tomorrow for a Beantown Friday edition of the Ice Guys, sponsored by Boston Amp Inc. We'll see you Friday for the Beantown Friday edition of the Ice Guys.